Armin was a young historian with a mind full of questions. He loved old books and maps more than anything else. His small apartment in the city was crowded with shelves of dusty volumes, worn notebooks, and a large globe that he often spun while thinking about places no one had visited. He spent hours reading about ancient civilizations, trying to understand their mysteries. But one day he felt he needed something more, a discovery of his own. It was a quiet afternoon when Armin wandered into the city library, a place he had visited countless times. The sun streamed through tall windows, casting golden stripes on the old wooden floor. He moved past shelves filled with history books, stopping at a small, dim corner that few visitors noticed. His fingers traced the spines until he found a strange, leather-bound book with no title. Its edges were frayed, and it smelled faintly of dust and time. Curiosity pulled him closer. Opening the book carefully, Armin discovered a map hidden between the pages. It was drawn on yellowed paper, showing a vast desert and, in its center, a small pyramid marked with symbols he did not recognize. Beneath the drawing, faded words read, "The pyramid forgotten by time." His heart raced. He had read about countless pyramids, but this one was nowhere in history books. No name, no record, nothing. Armin knew he could not explore it alone. He needed a team. The next morning, he called Leela, a skilled archaeologist and his trusted friend. Leela had studied ancient architecture and was always ready for adventure. "I found something unusual," he said, showing her the map. Her eyes widened with excitement. "If this is real, it could change what we know about history," she said. They also invited Omar, a local guide familiar with the desert. Omar was strong and smart. With years of experience navigating sandstorms and dangerous terrain, he had stories of lost cities and hidden places, and he knew the desert like the back of his hand. "You want to find a pyramid nobody has ever recorded?" he asked with a smile. "Then you must be ready for anything." With the team ready, they began their journey. The desert stretched endlessly, golden sands rolling like waves under the blazing sun. It was beautiful but unforgiving. Armin, Leela, and Omar carried only essential supplies: water, food, tools for excavation, notebooks, and cameras. They walked for hours, feeling both excitement and nervousness. Omar led the way, pointing out landmarks he knew. "If you lose sight of these hills, you can get lost for days," he said. The wind blew fiercely at times, carrying tiny grains of sand that stung their skin. Yet, the pyramid appeared on the horizon, a faint shape barely visible against the sky. Every step closer made their hearts beat faster. During the evenings, the team camped under the open sky. The desert was quiet, except for the occasional sound of the wind. At night, the stars shone brighter than in the city, like countless diamonds scattered across a black cloth. Armin spread the map on the sand and studied it. The pyramid's design was unusual. It did not resemble the familiar pyramids of Egypt or any known ruins in the region. Its angles were sharper, its size difficult to judge from afar. Leela examined her notes. "Look at these symbols," she said, pointing to faint marks near the pyramid's drawing. "I have never seen anything like them. They may belong to a lost civilization." Armin nodded. "We have to find out who built it and why they wanted to remain hidden from history." The first night, they heard distant noises that made them pause. Some sounded like whispers carried by the wind. Omar laughed lightly. "The desert likes to play tricks. People long ago believed spirits guard lost places. Maybe this pyramid is one of them." Armin shivered, not from fear, but from anticipation. He felt that something important was waiting for them inside the pyramid. On the third day, the pyramid appeared more clearly. Its surface seemed to glimmer under the sunlight, and the shadows highlighted unusual carvings. The closer they got, the more they realized the structure was massive, far bigger than it looked from the map. Armin could not believe such a monument could exist without leaving a trace in history. When they finally reached the base, the team examined the entrance. There were no inscriptions, no hieroglyphs, nothing to indicate who had built it. Its stones were smooth and perfect, as if they were shaped by hands that knew secrets of engineering long forgotten. Leela ran her fingers over the walls, amazed. This is incredible. It must be thousands of years old. But how did it survive without anyone knowing? Omar touched the doorway. The desert hides many things. Some civilizations wanted their knowledge saved from others. Maybe this is one of them. Armin took out his camera and notebook, documenting every detail. He felt the excitement of a historian who knew he was about to witness something that could change the story of the past. As the sun began to set, the pyramid cast a long shadow over the desert. The light painted the stones in gold and orange hues, making the structure appear almost magical. The team set up camp near the base. They could feel the stillness of the place, as if it were waiting for them to enter. That night, round a small fire, they discussed their plans. "We must be careful inside," Lila said. "We don't know what is hidden. There may be chambers, traps, or delicate artifacts. Every step matters." Armin nodded. "We have prepared as much as possible. Tomorrow, we go in and discover the secrets that history forgot." Omar looked up at the stars, then at the pyramid. Some places are meant to be found by the right people at the right time. Maybe we are those people. The desert night grew colder, but sleep came slowly. Each of them dreamed of the pyramid's hidden chambers, ancient scrolls, and untold stories. For Armin, this was the start of an adventure he had always imagined, but now it was real. The next day, they would step inside the pyramid that had never been recorded in history. The desert remained silent around them, keeping its secrets, waiting for the explorers to unlock the mysteries hidden for centuries. The discovery had begun, and nothing would ever be the same for Armin, Leela, and Omar. The sun rose over the desert, casting warm light across endless waves of sand. Armin, Leela, and Omar packed their supplies carefully, knowing that the journey ahead would be long and challenging. Every morning, the desert felt different. Some days it was calm, almost peaceful. Other days, the wind blew fiercely, carrying grains of sand that stung their skin and made it hard to see. Omar led the way. He had walked these deserts for years and knew how to read the signs. He pointed to small ridges of sand, patterns in the dunes, and distant rock formations. "Follow these," he said. "They will guide us. If you lose track, you could walk in circles for days." Armin and Leela nodded, trusting his experience. Walking under the hot sun was exhausting. Their water bottles emptied faster than they expected, and the heat made every step a test of willpower. Yet, the sight of the pyramid, faint on the horizon, kept them moving. It looked like a small shadow in the distance. But as they drew closer, its true size began to appear. Its shape was sharp and unusual, unlike any pyramid they had ever studied. The desert was not only hot but full of surprises. At one point, a sudden sandstorm forced the team to take shelter. Behind a cluster of rocks, the wind roared around them, and tiny grains of sand filled every crack. Armin wrapped his scarf tightly around his face, while Leela held her notebook above her head to protect it. Omar stayed calm, guiding them through the storm. The desert tests those who enter it. He said, "We must be patient and careful." That night, the three set up camp on a flat stretch of sand. The sky was clear, and the stars shone brighter than they had ever seen in the city. Armin could not stop looking at them. He spread the map on the sand, studying every line and symbol. The pyramid's markings were strange, showing patterns he did not understand. "It is not like the pyramids in history books," he said softly. "This one is different. Someone wanted it to be hidden." Leela examined the sand around the camp. "It is almost as if the desert itself protects this place," she said. "We have not seen footprints, animals, or anything else nearby. It is untouched." Armin felt a shiver of excitement. A place that had remained hidden for centuries was now in front of them, and they were the first people in a long, long time to see it. The next day, the team moved closer. They noticed how the pyramid seemed to change as they approached. From far away, it looked small and simple. Now, its stones reflected sunlight, shining with colors that made it look almost alive. The angles were precise, the edges perfect. Armin could not stop taking photos and making notes. Omar pointed out something unusual. "See those markings near the base?" he asked. They are not modern. They may be symbols left by the builders. They are very faint, but they are there. Leela knelt down to examine them. These are not just random shapes, she said. They are part of a language we have never seen. This could belong to a civilization that history forgot completely. Walking around the pyramid, they found the first signs of the ancient structure's size. It towered above them, casting a shadow across the sand. Its base was wider than any building they had seen, and each stone was smooth, as if it had been cut with tools unknown to them. Armin traced his hand along the cool surface, feeling a connection to people who had lived long before recorded history. As they rested for lunch, Omar shared stories of the desert. He spoke of lost cities swallowed by sand, of travelers who disappeared searching for hidden treasures, and of ancient knowledge guarded by those who came before. Armin and Leela listened, fascinated. It feels like the desert itself wants to tell us something, Leela said. By afternoon, the pyramid loomed closer. The team slowed their steps, feeling the weight of the moment. They had traveled for days, across harsh land, facing heat, sandstorms, and exhaustion. Yet now, the mystery of the pyramid made them forget their fatigue. Armin felt a mixture of awe and curiosity. This was more than a building. It was a story, waiting to be discovered. As they approached the entrance, they noticed details that had been invisible from a distance. The stones were carved with faint lines, forming patterns of stars and planets. Armin and Leela exchanged amazed looks. Could this be a temple of knowledge? Armin whispered. Something to record what people knew about the universe. Leela nodded, her eyes wide. It is possible. Whoever built this had wisdom beyond anything we have found before. That evening, the sun began to set, painting the desert in gold and orange. The pyramid's shadows stretched far across the sand, creating an almost magical scene. The team set up camp nearby. They could feel the stillness of the place, as if it were waiting for them to enter. Omar said quietly, "Many who came here before us never returned. Perhaps they were not meant to. But you three are here, and that means something. Under the stars." Armin thought about what they might find inside. Secret chambers, ancient scrolls, tools, or records. Anything could be waiting. Leela and Omar shared their hopes and fears. "We must be careful," Leela said. "The pyramid may have been protected for a reason. Every step we take matters." Armin nodded. He felt that they were about to step into history that no one had ever seen. That night, sleep came slowly. Each of them dreamed of the pyramid, its hidden chambers, and the secrets it might hold. The desert, silent and vast, seemed to watch over them, keeping its secrets for centuries until the right people arrived. Armin knew that tomorrow, their adventure would truly begin. The journey across the desert had tested their strength and patience, but it had also filled them with wonder and excitement. The pyramid, hidden for centuries, now stood before them, full of mystery. For Armin, Leela, and Omar, the desert had prepared them for something extraordinary. Tomorrow, they would step inside the pyramid and uncover secrets that history had never recorded. The adventure was just beginning, and the desert held its breath, waiting for the explorers to enter the place forgotten by time. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, casting warm light across the endless sand. Armin, Leela, and Omar packed their supplies, ready to step into the pyramid that had remained hidden for centuries. Their hearts beat with excitement and a hint of nervousness. The pyramid seemed larger and more mysterious than ever, and each step closer made them feel the weight of the unknown. Omar led the way to the entrance. He stopped for a moment and studied the doorway carefully. The stones were smooth and perfectly aligned. There were no inscriptions, no hieroglyphs, no clues about who built it or why it had been hidden. The pyramid felt silent and still, as if waiting for them. "It is strange," Omar said quietly. "No civilization ever left anything like this. It is almost as if it was built to be forgotten." Leela knelt beside the doorway and ran her hands over the surface. The stone was cool and solid, and she could feel faint grooves that formed patterns. "These marks are very precise," she said. "They are not just decoration. They must mean something. Perhaps a code or a message from the builders." Armin studied the patterns carefully. He had seen many ancient ruins, but nothing like this. The entrance seemed to guard the secrets of the pyramid. Daring them to step inside together, they examined the doorway for a way to enter safely. Omar noticed a small indentation in the stone, shaped like a lever. "Look at this," he said. "Maybe it is a mechanism." Armin pressed gently, and the stone moved slightly. With careful teamwork, they activated the lever, and a narrow passage slowly opened, revealing darkness inside. A cool breeze escaped the entrance, carrying the scent of old stone and something faintly sweet, like ancient spices. The team paused at the threshold. The darkness inside was almost complete, and the air felt heavier than outside. Armin switched on his flashlight and pointed it into the passage. The walls were lined with smooth stone, and faint symbols glowed slightly in the beam. Leela and Omar followed closely, their steps echoing softly. The sound seemed to bounce off the walls, creating a strange sense of both calm and tension. As they moved deeper, the passage widened slightly. The floor was smooth, unlike the rough desert outside, and the walls were decorated with patterns of stars and planets. Armin stopped to take notes and photos. "These symbols are like a map of the sky," he whispered. "Whoever built this pyramid must have studied the stars carefully. Maybe they recorded their knowledge here." Leela examined the ceiling, which was covered in faint carvings. "Look at this," she said. "These symbols are connected. They tell a story. It might explain who built this place and why it was hidden." The team moved slowly, careful not to touch anything that might be fragile. Every step seemed to bring them closer to a secret that had been kept for centuries. After walking for several minutes, they reached a small chamber. The room was square, and the walls were filled with symbols they could not yet understand. In the center stood a stone pedestal. On top of it rested a flat stone, carved with lines that looked like constellations. Armin knelt to study it. "This is amazing," he said. "It is a model of the sky, but not like any we know. These stars and planets are arranged differently. It is like a record of a civilization that history forgot." Omar moved to the walls, running his hands over the smooth stones. "I have never seen anything like this," he said. "It is as if the pyramid was built to teach, not to bury. These people wanted knowledge to last, but hidden from the world." Leela nodded. "Yes, it feels like a temple of learning. Every symbol, every carving, is a lesson. We must document everything carefully." As they explored the chamber, they noticed a faint vibration beneath their feet. It was subtle at first, almost like a heartbeat. Armin looked at Leela and Omar. "Do you feel that?" he asked. "It is as if the pyramid itself is alive." Leela shivered slightly. "It might be a natural effect of the stones," she said, trying to sound calm. Omar remained silent, studying the walls. He had seen many strange places in the desert, but this was different. The pyramid seemed to have a presence, a purpose beyond what they could understand. Moving on, they discovered a narrow staircase, leading deeper into the pyramid. The steps were carved from the same smooth stone as the walls. Each step felt solid, as if it had been used for thousands of years by builders or priests. The team descended carefully, their flashlights revealing more symbols and patterns along the walls. Some symbols resembled animals, others stars, and some strange shapes that they could not identify. At the bottom of the staircase, they reached another chamber. This room was larger than the one above, with a high ceiling supported by massive stone pillars. The walls glowed faintly in the light of their flashlights, showing murals of people studying stars, recording knowledge, and teaching others. Armin was amazed. This civilization was advanced, he said. They understood the sky, the land, and perhaps even things we do not yet know. Leela examined the floor. It was covered with dust, but she noticed patterns that matched the stars above. They used the floor to teach, she said. Perhaps students would walk these paths and learn about the universe by following them. Everything here is connected. Armin carefully drew sketches in his notebook, capturing as many details as possible. Every symbol could be a key to understanding the pyramid's secrets. Suddenly, Omar pointed to a small door at the far side of the chamber. It was almost hidden, blending perfectly with the wall. "There might be more," he said. "We should be ready." The team approached carefully. The door was sealed by a simple mechanism, similar to the one at the entrance. Armin pressed gently, and the door opened slowly, revealing a narrow corridor leading even deeper. The air grew cooler, and the light from their flashlights barely reached the far end. As they prepared to enter, Leela whispered, "We do not know what is ahead. This might be the heart of the pyramid, or it could be more chambers filled with unknown knowledge." Armin nodded. "Whatever it is, we are ready. This is what we came for, to discover history that no one has recorded." Together, they stepped into the corridor, feeling both excitement and awe. The pyramid seemed to welcome them, as if it had waited for centuries for someone curious enough to enter. Every symbol, every stone, every step brought them closer to secrets that had remained hidden, waiting for the right people to unlock them. The adventure inside the pyramid had begun, and Armin, Leela, and Omar knew that what they would find could change their understanding of history forever. The corridor narrowed as Armin, Leela, and Omar continued deeper into the pyramid. Their flashlights revealed walls covered with patterns that seemed to move as the light shifted. The air grew cooler, carrying a faint, earthy scent of stone and history. Every step echoed softly, making the silence feel alive. The explorers knew they were moving into a part of the pyramid that no one had seen for centuries. At the end of the corridor, a large stone door blocked their way. It was decorated with symbols of animals, stars, and strange shapes that neither Armin nor Leela recognized. Omar examined it closely. "These marks are deliberate," he said. "The builders wanted this chamber hidden. Only the wise or the brave could open it." Armin studied the door carefully, tracing the carvings with his fingers. He noticed small grooves along the edges, like a puzzle waiting to be solved. After several minutes, Leela discovered a hidden mechanism. She pressed a series of stones in a specific order, following a pattern she thought matched the stars on the walls. The door shivered, then slowly slid open, revealing a hidden chamber. The air inside smelled older, heavier, filled with the weight of centuries. They stepped inside carefully, their flashlights revealing a room far larger than any they had imagined. The chamber was magnificent. Stone pillars rose from the floor to support the ceiling, each carved with symbols of the sun, moon, and constellations. In the center stood a large stone table, perfectly smooth, surrounded by smaller altars. The walls were covered in murals showing people observing the sky, recording knowledge, and teaching others. Armin and Leela could hardly believe their eyes. "This civilization was far more advanced than we imagined," Leela whispered. "They studied the stars, the earth, and perhaps things we do not yet understand." Omar moved quietly around the room. He noticed jars of colored powders, smooth stones, and strange instruments carved from metal and stone. "They may have used these for study or experiments," he said. "Everything here seems carefully placed. It is like a laboratory or a school." Armin took careful notes, sketching each object and symbol. Every detail could be important to understanding the purpose of the pyramid. Leela examined the murals closely. They showed groups of people pointing at the stars, writing on tablets, and teaching children. "This place was not built for kings or treasure," she said. "It was built for knowledge. They wanted to learn and pass it on, but in secret. That is why history forgot them." Armin nodded, feeling a mix of awe and respect. The pyramid was not just a building, it was a record of a civilization's wisdom. In one corner of the chamber, they found a staircase leading further down. The steps were narrower and steeper than before. Dust covered them, but they seemed solid. "Shall we go?" Armin asked. Leela and Omar nodded. They descended carefully, their flashlights casting long shadows on the walls. The air grew cooler, and a sense of quiet anticipation filled the team. At the bottom, they discovered a smaller chamber, almost like a study room. It contained stone shelves filled with scrolls and tablets. The writing was unlike anything they had seen. Some symbols resembled stars and planets, while others were abstract shapes. Leela carefully picked up a tablet, brushing away centuries of dust. "These may contain knowledge about the stars, the earth, or even mathematics, we do not know, she said. This civilization wanted to record everything. Armin studied a large mural on one wall. It depicted people using tools to measure the sky, recording the positions of stars, and tracking time. They were observers and thinkers, he said. They valued knowledge above all else. That is why they hid this place. They wanted it to survive, but without interference from others. Omar nodded. The desert protected it for centuries. Only those who were meant to find it could enter. While exploring, Armin noticed a section of the floor with unusual markings. He traced them with his hand and realized they formed a pattern similar to the constellations on the walls. They may have used the floor as a learning tool, he said. Students could walk along the lines and understand the stars and their positions. Every part of this pyramid teaches something. Leela was amazed. It is incredible. Their knowledge was both practical and spiritual. They connected the earth, the sky, and themselves. As they moved through the chamber, Omar found a small, hidden door. There may be another room, he said. The team approached carefully. The door was lighter than the others, and when they pushed it open, they discovered a narrow passage leading to a vault-like space inside. The walls were lined with objects that glowed faintly, catching the light of their flashlights. Golden instruments, polished stones, and metal tools filled the room. Arranged neatly as if ready to be used, Armin picked up a small instrument, feeling its weight and precision. These are tools for observation, he said. Perhaps they measured the stars, the sun, and the planets. Everything here shows careful thought and knowledge. Leela studied the walls and floors. This civilization wanted to understand the universe and preserve their wisdom. They left clues for those who were curious and brave enough to find them. The explorers realized that every part of the hidden chambers was connected. Symbols on the walls matched the floors and instruments, the murals, the tablets, and the jars all told the story of a civilization dedicated to learning. This place is like a school, a laboratory, and a library all in one, Armin said. And yet, history has no record of it. It was meant to be hidden. They spent hours documenting the chambers, carefully sketching symbols, taking notes, and photographing objects. Every discovery deepened their understanding of the pyramid's purpose. It was not built for wealth or power. It was built to preserve knowledge, wisdom, and curiosity. The explorers felt a deep respect for the builders, who had carefully protected their work for centuries. As the sun outside began to set, casting long shadows across the desert, the team paused to rest. They had discovered hidden chambers, strange objects, and murals that revealed the civilization's dedication to knowledge. Yet they knew there was more to explore. The pyramid still held secrets waiting to be uncovered, and they were only at the beginning of its mysteries. Armin, Leela, and Omar sat quietly in the chamber, feeling a connection to the people who had built it. The air was calm, almost reverent, and the pyramid seemed to watch over them. "We have found something incredible," Leela whispered. "Something that no one else has seen for centuries." Armin nodded. "And tomorrow, we will go deeper. There is still so much to learn." The hidden chambers had revealed the first part of the pyramid's secrets. Knowledge, wisdom, and careful planning filled the rooms, showing the explorers a civilization that history had forgotten. The adventure continued, and the mysteries of the pyramid were only beginning to unfold. The next morning, the desert sun shone brightly outside, but inside the pyramid, the air remained cool and still. Armin, Leela, and Omar gathered near the central chamber, where they had discovered the stone table, the murals, and the instruments. Today, they planned to examine the objects and symbols carefully, hoping to understand the secrets the builders had left behind. Every detail might reveal knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Leela carefully picked up one of the tablets they had found in the hidden chambers. The symbols were strange and unlike any script they had studied before. She spread the tablet on the stone table and compared it to the murals on the walls. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. "These symbols are not random," she said. "They tell a story. It is like a history written by the people who built this pyramid." Armin leaned closer. A history that no one recorded. This could explain why the pyramid was forgotten. Omar examined the golden instruments from the vault. He turned one in his hands, noticing its fine craftsmanship. These tools were made for studying the stars, he said. They are precise, as if the builders measured the sky every night. This civilization must have been very advanced. Leela nodded. It is incredible. They study the stars, the earth, and perhaps even time itself. They wanted knowledge to last. Together, the team began decoding the murals and tablets. They noticed a pattern. Each symbol on the walls corresponded to a mark on the floor, or a design on the instruments. The pyramid itself was like a giant lesson. Every part is connected, Armin said. The walls, the floor, the tools, they all teach something. This was more than a building. It was a place of learning. Hours passed as they worked, carefully recording everything. Armin discovered a scroll hidden under one of the stone tables. It was fragile, made of a material that had survived centuries. The scroll contained diagrams of stars, planets, and cycles of time. Leela carefully unrolled it. This shows that they studied the universe, she said. They mapped the stars and tracked the movement of planets. Their knowledge was far beyond what we expected for this time. As they continued, they realized something remarkable. The symbols and diagrams were not only about the sky, they also showed the earth, plants, water, and seasons. The civilization that built this pyramid had carefully studied nature, learning how to live in harmony with it. Omar smiled. They understood balance. Knowledge for them was not just about observation, but about understanding life itself. One mural showed people teaching children under the stars. They held tools and instruments, explaining the movement of the sky and the earth. Leela studied it carefully. Education was important to them, she said. They trained the next generation to learn and explore. This pyramid is like a school for everyone who wanted wisdom. Armin felt a deep respect for these builders. They had worked silently for centuries, leaving no record. Yet they had preserved their knowledge perfectly. The team noticed a small alcove in the chamber, filled with tablets that seemed to describe a calendar system. Leela carefully examined them. This is a calendar far more precise than any we know from that time, she said. They tracked days, months, and years using the stars. They were trying to understand the passage of time and the universe. Armin wrote down every detail, realizing that this discovery could change how historians understood ancient civilizations. While studying the scrolls and tablets, they found a strange map etched on one of the walls. It showed a network of places, connected by lines, almost like a guide to hidden knowledge. Perhaps these were locations where their wisdom was kept, Armin said. They wanted to protect their knowledge from being lost or misused. That is why they hid it so well. Omar nodded. The desert protected it, and now it is in our hands. We must respect it. Leela pointed to a symbol on the wall that resembled a star surrounded by circles. This seems to represent balance, she said. They connected the stars, the earth, and their own lives. Knowledge was not just for study, but for living wisely. They wanted to teach people to understand the world and themselves. Armin felt a sense of awe. These ancient secrets were more than scientific, they were lessons about life. As the day passed, the explorers realized that the pyramid's secrets were carefully layered. Some symbols were easy to understand, while others required careful study. Each object, each carving, was part of a larger system of knowledge. The builders had hidden this wisdom not out of fear, but to protect it. Only those who were curious, patient, and respectful could unlock it. By evening, the team paused to rest near the stone table. They had spent the entire day decoding symbols, studying instruments, and understanding the murals. The pyramid had revealed its first major secrets, advanced knowledge of the stars, the earth, and the cycles of life. Yet, they knew there was more waiting deeper inside. The heart of the pyramid had not yet been uncovered, and it might hold the most important lessons of all. Omar looked at the walls with a thoughtful expression. This civilization wanted to remain hidden, but they also wanted to share wisdom with the right people. That is why this place was so carefully protected. We are fortunate to find it, Leela smiled. And we have to be careful. Every step matters. This knowledge must be preserved, not disturbed. Armin nodded. We will document everything and respect their work. This is history no one recorded, and it is our responsibility to understand it. As night fell, the chamber glowed faintly. In the light of their flashlights, the pyramid's silence was not empty, it was full of meaning. The explorers felt a connection to the ancient builders, a silent communication across centuries. They understood that knowledge could last forever if it was preserved with care and respect. Armin, Leela, and Omar sat quietly, reflecting on what they had learned. The pyramid had begun to reveal its secrets, showing the wisdom of a civilization that history had forgotten. The murals, scrolls, instruments, and symbols all told a story of study, observation, and teaching. It was a civilization devoted to knowledge, balance, and understanding. They knew that tomorrow would bring more discoveries, deeper chambers, hidden objects, and more scrolls could reveal even greater secrets. The adventure inside the pyramid was far from over, but the first step had already changed the way they understood history. The ancient builders had preserved their knowledge for centuries, and now it was in the hands of those who were ready to learn. The explorers felt both pride and humility, pride in their discovery, and humility before the wisdom of people long gone. The pyramid, hidden and silent for centuries, had begun to speak. Its ancient secrets were finally being understood, one careful step at a time. The explorers woke early, filled with anticipation. After days of careful study, Armin, Leela, and Omar were ready to move deeper into the pyramid. They had already discovered hidden chambers, scrolls, murals, and instruments. Today, they hoped to find the central chamber, the heart of the pyramid, where the most important knowledge of the lost civilization might be kept. They packed their supplies and checked their flashlights and notebooks. Omar led the way down the narrow stone staircase, his experience guiding them safely. The air grew cooler and heavier with each step, as if the pyramid itself was waiting to reveal its secrets. Armin's heart beat faster. He felt a mix of excitement and reverence. This was history untouched for centuries, and they were the first humans in a very long time to walk these halls. At the bottom, they entered a long corridor, its walls covered with symbols that glowed faintly in the flashlight beams. The carvings depicted people observing the sky, recording knowledge, and teaching others. Leela examined the walls carefully. Everything here seems to follow a pattern, she said. The builders wanted knowledge to be preserved and understood by those who were patient and careful. The corridor led to a large stone door, decorated with intricate symbols of stars, planets, and geometric shapes. The carvings seemed to pulse softly in the dim light, giving the impression of movement. Omar inspected the door. "This is it," he said. "The central chamber." The builders clearly wanted to protect it. Only the wise or the careful could enter. Armin studied the symbols and discovered a sequence of marks that matched the patterns they had seen in previous chambers. He pressed the stones in order, following the designs carefully. Slowly, the door began to open, revealing a vast chamber bathed in a faint golden light. The explorers paused, overwhelmed by the size and beauty of the space. The central chamber was magnificent. Massive stone pillars reached to the high ceiling, each carved with symbols of the sun, moon, and stars. The walls were filled with murals showing people studying the sky, using instruments, and recording knowledge. In the center stood a large circular platform with carvings that seemed to represent the universe itself. Armin, Leela, and Omar felt the weight of the moment. This was the heart of the pyramid, the place where the civilization had preserved its greatest wisdom. Leela approached the central platform and traced the carvings with her fingers. "It shows the stars, the planets, and their movements," she said. "It is like a model of the universe." They studied the sky carefully and recorded everything here. This was their gift to the future. Armin examined the murals around the platform. Some showed people teaching children, while others showed scholars measuring and observing. They wanted knowledge to survive, he said. They hid it, but they also preserved it beautifully. Omar moved around the chamber, examining objects placed carefully along the walls. He found instruments made of gold, stone, and metal, all designed with incredible precision. These tools were made for observation, he said. They could have measured the stars, tracked time, and studied the earth. Their knowledge was advanced and carefully preserved. The explorers discovered a series of stone tablets arranged in a semicircle around the central platform. Each tablet contained symbols that connected with the murals and instruments. Leela carefully studied them. It seems that the tablets tell a story, she said. They explain the history of this civilization, their discoveries, and the knowledge they valued most. Armin nodded. This pyramid was not just a building. It was a library, a school, and a temple all in one. As they explored, Armin noticed a faint pattern on the floor, leading to a hidden alcove. The alcove contained a single large tablet covered in symbols that glowed softly. Leela examined it closely. This may be the most important record, she said. It could explain everything: the purpose of the pyramid and the knowledge of the civilization. Omar stepped back, giving her space to study. The tablet was heavy, covered in carvings of stars, planets, and people learning and observing. Armin carefully sketched the symbols while Leela tried to interpret them. The carvings seemed to describe the civilization's understanding of the universe, the cycles of nature, and the importance of passing knowledge to future generations. They studied life, the sky, and time, Leela said. They wanted wisdom to last, but only for those who were patient, respectful, and curious. The explorers realized that the pyramid was built as a lesson. Every wall, every instrument, and every tablet taught something. The civilization had hidden its wisdom to protect it from those who might misuse it. The central chamber was the culmination of centuries of study, observation, and teaching. Armin felt a deep respect for these builders. They had carefully preserved knowledge, ensuring that it would survive through the ages. While examining the central platform, Omar noticed a series of small openings around its base. These may have been used for observing the sky, he said. They are positioned to allow sunlight or starlight to shine on specific symbols at certain times. This pyramid was not just a building, it was a tool for learning. Leela nodded. Everything here is connected. The universe, the earth, and the people who build it, all parts of a single system. As the day passed, the team worked tirelessly to document every detail. They recorded the murals, sketched the instruments, and copied the symbols on the tablets. Every discovery brought new understanding. The civilization that built the pyramid had been wise, careful, and thoughtful. They valued knowledge above all else and had designed the pyramid to teach lessons for centuries. To come out as evening approached, the central chamber glowed in the soft light of their flashlights. The explorers paused to rest and reflect. They had uncovered the heart of the pyramid, discovering the civilization's most important knowledge. It was a civilization devoted to learning, observation, and the careful preservation of wisdom. The pyramid was a gift to the future, hidden for centuries, waiting for those who were ready to understand. Armin, Leela, and Omar knew that their adventure was far from over. There were still smaller chambers, hidden passages, and objects they had not yet explored. But the central chamber had revealed the most important secrets. The civilization's dedication to knowledge, their careful observation of the universe, and their desire to preserve wisdom for those who would come after. As they prepared to leave the central chamber, the explorers felt a deep connection to the builders. The pyramid was no longer just a structure, it was a story, a lesson, and a message across time. They understood that knowledge could survive for centuries if it was preserved with care, respect, and purpose. The journey inside the pyramid had reached its peak, but mysteries remained. Armin, Leela, and Omar were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The pyramid, hidden and silent for centuries, had revealed its heart, and its lessons would stay with them forever. The morning light barely reached the desert floor, but inside the pyramid, Armin, Leela, and Omar were already awake, ready to continue their exploration. The central chamber had revealed the wisdom of the lost civilization, but there were still small rooms, hidden corridors, and objects they had not yet discovered. Each step forward carried a sense of excitement and responsibility. They returned to the narrow corridor that led away from the central chamber. The walls were lined with symbols and carvings, glowing faintly in their flashlights. The team moved carefully, following markings that seemed to lead to a final, hidden section of the pyramid. Omar led the way, using his knowledge of ancient construction to spot subtle signs in the stone. The builders were clever, he said. They left patterns that guide the right people to the knowledge they wanted to share. After walking for some time, they arrived at a small door hidden in the shadows. It was carved from the same smooth stone as the rest of the pyramid, but it was unmarked, almost invisible. Leela studied the door carefully. This could be the final chamber, she said. It feels different from the others. The air is still, almost reverent. Armin pressed lightly on the door. To their amazement, it slowly opened, revealing a narrow passage leading to a room unlike any they had seen before. The passage led to a chamber that glowed with a faint golden light, as if the stone itself held a secret energy. The room was small, but perfectly arranged. In the center stood a pedestal with a large crystal, its surface smooth and shining. Round it were small objects, instruments, scrolls, and carved stones, all positioned with careful precision. The air was heavy with silence, and the explorers felt as if they had entered the very heart of the pyramid's wisdom. Leela approached the pedestal and examined the crystal. It seemed to reflect the symbols from the walls and ceiling, forming patterns that moved as she adjusted her perspective. This crystal may have been used to focus light or energy, she said. It could be a tool for study or meditation. It shows how advanced these people were. Armin circled the pedestal, examining the carvings and instruments. Everything here is connected, he said. This is the core of their knowledge, preserved for those who are careful and curious enough to find it. Omar noticed a small compartment at the base of the pedestal. Inside, they found a series of scrolls, more delicate than any they had seen. Carefully, they unrolled the first scroll. It was filled with symbols and diagrams, showing the movement of the stars, the cycles of nature, and the way knowledge could be used wisely. Leela's eyes widened. These scrolls contain everything, she whispered. This is the final record, the civilization's greatest lessons. Armin examined another scroll. It showed how the builders had observed the universe and the earth, recording patterns and understanding connections. The scrolls explained the importance of study, patience, and respect for knowledge. They wanted to teach us how to think, Armin said. Not just what to know, but how to learn, how to observe, and how to understand life and the universe. Leela moved to the walls, which were covered in delicate murals. They showed people studying, teaching, and observing. Each figure was carefully carved, showing attention to detail and respect for learning. The builders believed in sharing knowledge with those who were ready, Leela said. They did not want it to be taken lightly or misused. That is why the pyramid remained hidden for so long. Omar studied the crystal again. It may have been used to align the mind with knowledge, he said. Or it could have been a tool to observe the sky. Every object here has a purpose, and everything is connected. This is more than a pyramid, it is a guide for understanding the world. The team spent hours documenting the chamber. Armin sketched the crystal, the instruments, and the carvings. Leela copied the scrolls and made notes about the murals. Omar studied the placement of each object, noting how the builders had arranged everything with careful intention. Every detail revealed another layer of wisdom. As they worked, they began to understand the civilization's message. Knowledge is precious and should be preserved with care. Study the stars, the earth, and life itself. Teach others, but only when they are ready. Observe, record, and respect the world around you. These lessons had been hidden for centuries, and now, through careful exploration, they were being understood once more. As the sun outside began to set, the chamber glowed in golden light. The explorers felt a deep sense of awe. They had uncovered the pyramid's greatest secrets, understanding the knowledge that history had forgotten. The lost civilization had preserved its wisdom perfectly, and now it was in the hands of people who could appreciate it. Leela looked around the chamber one last time. We cannot take everything with us, she said, but we can record it, share it carefully, and respect what they left behind. That is what they wanted. Armin nodded. We will document everything. The world will learn about this civilization, and their wisdom will not be lost again. Omar smiled. "We have been chosen to understand this, but it is also our responsibility to protect it." Before leaving, they carefully replaced every scroll, instrument, and object exactly as they had found it. The crystal remained on the pedestal, glowing faintly in the soft light. The murals, tablets, and carvings were untouched. The pyramid was as silent and perfect as it had been for centuries. As they walked back through the corridors and climbed the stone staircases, they reflected on their journey. They had traveled across the desert, discovered hidden chambers, decoded symbols, and finally reached the heart of the pyramid. They had uncovered a civilization's dedication to knowledge, their understanding of the universe, and their careful preservation of wisdom. Outside, the desert sun was low, painting the sand in shades of gold and orange. Armin, Leela, and Omar looked back at the pyramid, feeling a deep respect. The ancient structure had shared its secrets with them, but it remained a guardian of knowledge, waiting for the right people to learn from it. Omar broke the silence. "We came seeking history," he said, "and we found wisdom. This pyramid was never recorded in history, but it has taught us lessons that are more valuable than any treasure." Leela smiled. "It is a reminder that knowledge is eternal, and it survives when it is protected and respected." Armin nodded. "And now, we can share it carefully, ensuring that the builder's wisdom reaches the world without being misused." The three explorers began their journey back across the desert. The sand stretched endlessly before them, but they carried with them the story of the hidden pyramid, its chambers, and its civilization. The adventure had tested their patience, courage, and curiosity, but it had also rewarded them with knowledge that no one had recorded. As the pyramid disappeared behind the dunes, they felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had discovered history, preserved secrets, and understood the lessons of a lost civilization. The pyramid had been hidden for centuries, but its wisdom would now live on through their careful study and respect. The sun set fully, and the desert turned golden and quiet. Armin, Leela, and Omar walked together, carrying with them the knowledge of the past and the responsibility to protect it. The pyramid, hidden and silent, remained in the desert, waiting for future generations who would be patient, curious, and respectful enough to learn from it. The story of the lost civilization, once hidden from history, had finally been discovered. The lessons of wisdom, observation, and respect for knowledge would now reach the world, preserved by those who understood the true value of what they had found.